Okay,
You know, when you're done, you just do that.
okay,
That's a very pivotal role.
yes.
Okay. Okay, folks, it's 7:30. Welcome tonight to the Town of Mount Pleasant Planning Board meeting, regularly scheduled for July 21st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. First up are business items. Those are items that we've reviewed in the past, and the board has made a decision, and the consultant or the secretary to the board has drafted either minutes or resolutions. So first up were the acceptance of minutes drafted from the 7/3/2025 Planning Board meeting. Any questions or comments from board members? Let the record show there's no comments. What was the prevailing sentiment of the board for the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for 7/3/2025.
Motion from John,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
and aye for me. Next up, fourth request for a 90-day extension of subdivision approval for SD 20-6 for the development of a 4-story, 170-unit service-enriched senior housing residence, Brightview Senior Living. Subdivision application SD 20-6, site plan application SP 20-012, steep slopes application SS 20-15, 364 and 236 Grasslands Road, Valhalla, New York. 117.17-1-28 Grasslands Estates, owner Brightview Senior Living Development, contract Ven D. Last we heard, we were buttoning up some things with the Board of Health, I believe it was, or
That's exactly right,
county.
Mr. Chairman. So they're almost there, I'm still working with the Department of Health. It's a complex project.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions or comments from board members on the extension request for 90 days? So we have, let me just break this apart. We have a number of them. I guess we need to do them individually.
It's, yeah, it's just the subdivision that needs the extension.
Okay, so just the subdivision.
Just one, yep.
Make a motion to extend the subdivision for 90 days.
Motion from John,
Second?
second from Jane. Walter,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
and I for me. Okay, next up, let me explain to you what is a public hearing. I like to do my little review of what each of these categories is. Public hearing is an application that the board has heard before, and they deemed it as something that could be reviewed by the public. So we've been through quite a bit with some of these applications, made sure that all the documentation is correct, the spelling is right, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and now we say it's ready for the public to review. So with that being said, we're going to have the first one up is number 1, proposed New York City DEP KEC contract for shoreline stabilization of the Kensico Reservoir to protect an additional 1,600 linear feet from storm-related turbidity near the reservoir intake upper effluent chamber, including the removal of accumulated sediments in support of the existing water supply use, grading and tree removal within the 50-foot wetland buffer. Application site plan PSP 25-01, wetland number W25-01, steep slopes SS 25-01, location 0, Westlake Drive, Valhalla, New York. Section block lot number is 117.11-3-1. Zone R40, owner and applicant, New York City DEP. Engineer architect is Darcy Rosenthal, PE of CDM Smith. Welcome tonight.
It's a new public hearing. I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the public notice.
Thank you, Jane. Motion from Jane.
Second.
Second from Walter. Walter,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Caroline, the clicker.
I brought mine.
Is there a remote on the back?
I didn't remember. You got a good memory.
state our names. I'm Arnie Farrath, the New York City
You just
DEP.
speak right into the
Sorry.
mic so the TV
Sorry.
land can hear you.
There you go, yes. Arnie Farrath, New York City DEP Portfolio Manager.
And Deborah Kiesler, Accountable Manager with DEP.
Thank you.
Do you want me to flip it to you? Or
No, I think, and I'm sorry if you can't see,
I
but,
can see on your screen.
yeah, but we want to make sure the public sees because this is a public hearing, so.
Fair enough. So I'm here tonight on behalf of the New York City Water Supply, which provides drinking water to 9 million residents in New York State, 90% of the residents in Westchester County, including the town of Mount Pleasant. We are here tonight to speak about the Kensico Eastview Tunnel project. We have a number of goals: maintaining the resiliency that we have had built into our system for many years, which we stepped aside from for a little while when we brought the Cat UV facility online. Bear with me while I take my notes. We are looking to make sure that we can provide enough water to the Cat UV facility in place of what we had been doing with the Catskill Aqueduct, which was not at the right pressure. Provide for the ability to do bypasses if necessary, whether it's an emergency or a planned outage, and provide compatibility with future infrastructure projects. The project overall takes at two primary sites. We're putting in a tunnel between the Kensico campus right at the reservoir and the Eastview site where you're familiar with the Catskill Delaware UV facility. I apologize that I'm not watching. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss everything. It's a 2-mile-long project, 27-foot finished diameter tunnel with construction of shafts. And we're here tonight mostly to talk about the one of the mitigation measures that we would be doing as part of the project. The work that we're doing is the shoreline stabilization. You're familiar with the shoreline stabilization work that we did near Shaft 18. Yep.
Can I just do really quick? So this tonight is not about the entire.
Right, I'm just trying to click through those to get to the big piece, right. So the shoreline stabilization work, similar to the shoreline stabilization work we did on the peninsula closer to Shaft 18, which is the intake for the Delaware, and because at the time we were looking at shutting down the Catskill, we postponed that work. You'll see on here that there's a sequence of site plan applications that we've been doing, and just to kind of put it in perspective, we've come before you with Ken's East 2, which is our Kensico campus, and Ken's East 1, which is additional work at our Kensico campus and Eastview. We will be coming back soon with the Kensico Eastview 3 work, which are the buildings that are going to go on the campus at Kensico, and we're here for shoreline. Shoreline is important for several reasons. It will protect that shoreline. It will protect us all from turbidity events. We will be installing some landscaping. We'll be doing a lot of earthwork. So essentially, a riprap barrier, vegetation, and then trees will go back in at the end. We will be putting in a secant wall to stabilize the higher elevations along the shoreline. We spoke last time we were here about 2 pieces of the project that have come in since the original inception of the project. One is the replacement of a culvert on Westlake Drive. It just wasn't up to par, and we just felt rather than trying to work around what was there, it was better to replace the culvert. And in response to comments from the community about the pile of dirt that was growing right along Columbus Avenue, we have tried to take it from 2 mounds down to a lower, flatter mound, so the materials that we were going to be stockpiling closer to the front of the site are now being moved further back on a lower mound. Okay, we're here tonight for site plan approval, and we just acknowledge that we're also coming back for SWIP approval, wetlands permits, and steep slope permits. As I mentioned earlier, our shoreline work is 1,600 lineal feet of riprap. That's the yellow area. Temporary steel sheeting will be going in for temporary and permeable turbidity curtains will be going into the water, and we'll leave a final turbidity curtain in the water. Putting the riprap in and laying some geotextile fibers, and also working to elevation of 355 for the water line for the elevation. Okay, so we will be disturbing open waters, we'll be disturbing some of the SAV, submerged aquatic vegetation. On the left are pieces of photos of the project that we did earlier on the peninsula, and we'll just be continuing that work up to the upper effluent chamber. Our upper effluent chamber is part of a consent order connected to the Hillview Reservoir. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we will be disturbing open waters and submerged aquatic vegetation. Some of our impacts will be temporary and will be restored through the project, and that more permanent loss will be in the open water and SAV that we need to make up for through mitigation for the loss of the aquatic resources. And spelled out there are the approximate areas that we're looking at: temporary and permanent disruption. There is no opportunity to perform on-site mitigation because of what would need to be happening to protect the SAV areas. We explored a number of sites during our FEIS process, and we made a commitment to restore 2.34 acres of new wetland. Ideally, we would like easy access to roads. We would like little excavation to get to the water table, and ideally, we'd also like that water table to be stable. So the site that we have chosen to do our wetland mitigation is on Big Peninsula in North Castle. It is on the Pleasantville Cove at the north end of Kensico Reservoir. We talked last time we were here about the number of trees that would be being taken down. That was a big concern for the community, as it is for us. Where we are taking trees out in order to do the work, where we are able to put them back in, we will be putting them back in at a 1-to-1 ratio. Clearly, because we're putting work in and changing things, we aren't always able to replace those trees in the exact space. So for those areas, we're taking that acreage and we're doing a 2-to-1 forest restoration. And we're currently exploring a number of sites in the vicinity of the Kensico campus, as well as one at the north end of Kensico Reservoir. That restoration work includes cleaning up invasive non-native species and putting in new native species, lower lying, as well as high story trees. We have noise as a consideration. You'll know that we've been working on the site for quite some time. It's my understanding there's been a very cooperative relationship with the town. I believe we had one noise complaint so far related to a fuel delivery that was acknowledged, and we're not doing those fuel deliveries in the long hours again. It's our intention to work starting at 7 in the morning, which is an hour before your noise ordinance kicks in for work hours. In that first hour, it's our intention to bring our staff in, have them have their morning meeting, have their safety moment, get themselves together, get their equipment, and then go out and start warming up the trucks. And then most of the noise would start after 8 o'clock. Again, any complaint above and beyond our own self-correction that we do with noise monitoring would certainly be addressed if it came up. Okay, our construction schedule, we're looking to have this work start as going out to bid in the first quarter of 2026, and that would have us starting construction in the summertime. It would run through 2031, probably about mid-year, first quarter, actually. Again, the work would start around 7 in the morning and go till 3:30, so we would be done well before the evening hours kick in for noise ordinance. Our equipment includes generators, compressors, excavators, cranes, front-end loaders, skid steers, all sorts of things. And when we did our noise evaluation, we considered all of them being on at the same time, which is not likely to happen, but we took into account all of those pieces of equipment. I feel like we're missing stuff, but do you have any questions?
Thank you. Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? Okay, I know there was some conversation on the 2.3 acres of wetlands in North Castle versus Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
And I know it was a very limited availability, for lack of a better word, where we can do it. Can we enumerate where we landed with that? It appears we weren't able to make much progress with that, but how did it become that decision?
A number of sites were looked at within Mount Pleasant during the FEIS process, and as I mentioned earlier, there were 3 primary criteria that we looked for to replace the SAV environment. Ideally, it's back in the same water body or the same watershed. We needed it to be easy to get to the water table, have that water table be stable, and have easy access to the site. Things like steep slopes are not our friend. Things like higher elevations where it takes a long time to get down to the water table are not wise places either. And at the time of our FEIS, we established that Big Peninsula made the most sense for us. We have gone back and revisited those. We had an opportunity to take 2 members of your CAC to tour the various sites and trying to get that size to be able to provide the same benefit of the area that we're taking out by doing the work that we're doing. It just still seems to make sense to go back to Big Peninsula.
Yeah, and I know the CAC's been actively engaged, and the CAC is generally pleased with, I'm being very careful with my words, pleased with some of your focus on the environment. But I needed to ask that question on North Castle versus Mount Pleasant because it was an open question. Okay. Any other questions or comments from board members? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, let the record show. Again, no questions or comments from board members. Okay, so this is a public hearing. So what does that mean? It allows the public to come address the board with thoughts, questions, concerns on this particular application, which is about the shoreline stabilization of the Kensico Reservoir. If anybody has a question, comment, or concern, or any thought on it, you can raise your hand. I'll give you a number. If you have a number, you can speak. If you don't have a number, you can't speak. So with that being said, does anybody here have any questions, comments, or concerns on shoreline stabilization of Kensico Reservoir? I see 1 hand up. I see 2 hands going up. Okay, we're going once, going twice, going 3 times. We have number 1 and number 2.
Good evening. My name is Ed Howard. Live on Columbus Avenue, across the street from all this construction. I know it's for the better of the good, but with the trucks coming down, the Jake brakes. It's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. No need for Jake brakes. And your brake.
No for what?
Engine brakes.
Engine
Jake brakes.
Okay.
So 30-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't need to be used. People are working. People are sleeping, like me during the day. Okay? We're getting tired of it. They're building the road. The new road or whatever across the street from my house. My glasses in my house, pictures are rattling with the heavy machinery going across. Just getting tired. I mean, it has to be done, granted, but, people do work at night. And how can I rest if all this noise is going on? Just a little consideration.
Do you have anything like specific we can address?
Well, the heavy equipment that's running across the street, with the Billy Road, they had a paver. Heavy-duty paver flattening out the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay? That's rattling my house. Okay? That's annoying to a point.
A couple thoughts. I don't want to give you work because you're resting during the day, number 1. But what would be helpful to the town?
I don't know. That's not it's above my pay grade. Okay?
Okay.
That's for you people to discuss. But I'm just saying, there's other people down Columbus Avenue feel the same way. The
I
noise.
understand. If it really gets crazy, please call the town building department if you can.
Okay.
Number 1. So that, and you're right. But it is helpful to have people in the community to alert the town about what's going on. But you're here tonight, and you're telling us
Because
about it tonight.
people are tired of hearing it. A lot of people work home, and with all the noise rattling, in the house, whatever, you can't, how can you concentrate doing the work? They have to work at home, but they have to do their work outside, so there's got to be some kind of happy medium
Right.
somewhere,
Understood.
okay?
Any questions?
So the machine they're probably using is vibrating the ground to compact.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So the only thing they could do to try to help that vibration is just add some water, spray some water to compact.
To compact.
And that'll eliminate a little bit of noise, but.
It doesn't do, I think,
I
yeah.
don't see how, because if they don't
Yeah.
compact it,
You know, but even trucks off-site, coming onto site, bringing pavement, dirt, or whatever, with the engine brakes, it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Schools are right down the block. There's a Methodist church where they get daycare or something. They shouldn't be going that fast to use their engine brake as they're coming down the road. So you're figuring 30 trucks a day, maybe 20 trucks a day you have coming
I
in?
think that's something maybe the DEP wants to monitor, just to tell those drivers to slow down, so they don't have to,
Yeah, you don't have the, don't need their engine brakes if you're in a 30-mile zone,
just,
okay?
And we can make sure that the building department knows about the water idea.
usually they use the water for dust, to keep down the dust, but it may help with the vibration. There's no other way to vibrate that ground without that roller.
Right.
So it's kind of like catch-22, but maybe water may help a little bit just to quiet it up a little bit. It was have that vibration.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
I do believe you should talk to your contractor about turning off the vibratory roller and try compacting without vibration. Because you may get the compaction, the Proctor density that you're looking for. So I suggest at least present that to your contractor, that you have a complaint from the public about the vibrations emanating across the street and rattling their houses, and what they can do about it. It's possible they could turn it off. Okay? Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Stephen Cabby, Chair of the Town of Mount Pleasant Conservation Advisory Council. We did arrange with the DEP a visit to the site. We were able to see all the areas of impacts and the understanding of why the wetlands mitigation on site is not practical. We don't disagree with this. It's a disappointment. Historically, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, there was a lot of discussion about some off-site possibilities. These weren't within the criteria that DEP sets and requires. So we've come to an acceptance of the fact that the conditions that are being outlined with regard to the wetlands mitigation are essentially what is practical and what's possible. Also, what's important to reiterate, as the DEP just said, this is a public works project that impacts and provides water for 90% of New Yorkers, and I'm sorry, 90%, only 90%? I'm surprised, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, 9 million New Yorkers and 90% of Westchester County. And the reason I mention that is that the loss of the wetlands in the resolution of approval, I think it's really critical to emphasize that this is for the benefit of the public, that this is not the conversion of wetlands for the purposes of development for anything other than public purpose. That's our main chief concern here, is that we have set a benchmark and a measure that's documented and on the record of the purpose and reason for the resolution of approval once it's been granted, once that wetlands permit has been granted. There is some management of invasive species that they're offering, which is generous. There's only a 2-year maintenance plan on it. In the discussion that we had with DEP, that's likely to turn back into invasives over the course of a relatively short period of time, but we'll have to see at least it's something that isn't being done now and will be done in the future, even if it's a short term. So essentially, we've been in this process all along, and the CAC can't offer any other recommendations other than what the DEP seems to be suggesting, and that's essentially where we are on this. If there's any other thing we can offer, we'd be happy to do it.
No, and I personally like the idea, and I didn't, think about it, and you did, which is good. But adding the item of for the benefit of the public good, because we don't want to get in the practice of altering, changing moving wetlands. But for the greater good, society and all that good stuff, there is a bigger picture to look at. But we need something to point to your point, for future items that come our way.
Yeah, no, the record should be very clear on that and documented. The other thing I have to say is that, restoration of wetlands off-site is a challenging proposition, and if the DEP can find a site that they think is actually practical and will actually turn out to be a wetlands over the course of time, that's an outcome that's beneficial. And if that's all they could find, then I'm not surprised that the options are limited, because finding and restoring wetlands where they don't exist, finding and creating, rather, wetlands where they don't exist is a very challenging science.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
For coming out tonight, too. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask one final time. Any final questions or comments from anybody on the board?
I have one question. Can you explain the 1-to-1 ratio of tree replacement?
Yeah, I certainly can. So there are a number of acres on site. I believe it's 18.8 acres of site that will be disturbed throughout all of the Kensico Eastview complex, from the KEC1 and KEC2 and 3 and 4. Some of that is just to access the site, to put things in and take things back out, to clear areas where we can work, and those trees can get put back in place. Not all of those trees can get put back in place, because some parts of the land are being changed, or a building is being built, or a road is being put in place. So the 1-to-1 is when you take an acre of forest and you temporarily displace the forest, you put a new forest back in. So that's on a 1 acre to 1 acre basis. I believe we have a shortfall in the order of half of 18.6, 9.3, that we are not able to replace on site within those limits of disturbance. And although there is no legal requirement at any governmental level requiring that we go to a 2-to-1 ratio, we believe it's worth looking at a 2-to-1 ratio for forest restoration, where we're not taking 1 acre of forest out and putting 1 acre of forest in. We are going in and working on 2 acres of forest that have, for various reasons, gotten overrun by non-native species, have had the microbursts and the trees taken down, and the area is just not as healthy as it could be. Maybe the understory is needing some work, maybe enough of trees have been taken out that too much light gets in and it just helps the invasives grow. So we're looking at going in, taking the non-native invasives out, putting some new native species back in that will make the emerging forest healthier over the long term. And that would be at a 2-to-1 ratio. So 2 acres instead of 1 acre. Some of that is on the Kensico complex, just not the same limits of disturbance, and then others are off-site, mostly in the vicinity of the Kensico complex.
How many acres are you replacing in the Kensico complex?
We're still working that out. So there's some sites that you could go as much as 10, but like maybe the last 2 or 3 are not as beneficial. And there's a site off-site that you could do 7, but 2 or 3 of those are not as beneficial. So we're still trying to work out those borders. So I don't know the exact value that will be on the Kensico campus. Some of them are immediately adjacent to the Kensico campus, like there's the 2 stretches of vegetated area on either side of West Westlake Drive. They'll be used as well. So they're kind of contiguous to the Kensico campus. They're not on the Kensico campus, but mostly the general area. There is one site that we're looking at the far end of Nanny Hagen, where there's just been a lot of damage from storms that we're still trying to work on.
And then for this shoreline stabilization project, and if you said it already or in past meetings, do we know the beginning and the end of the project?
I believe we're looking for mid-2026 to start, and I believe we're looking at early to mid-2031.
For shoreline stabilization?
Yes. And the wetland mitigation needs to go hand in hand with the shoreline stabilization work to keep regulators at DEC and U.S. Army Corps happy, because we're taking away an environment and we're creating the same environment to keep the creatures happy.
Okay. All right. I did say final, but I'm going to do it one more time. Final. Out of courtesy for my board members. I don't think there's anything else we have to say at this point. Okay. All right. I don't think there's any additional comments or questions from the board. We have heard from the public. I will speak to that. I am going to encourage the public to pick up the phone if things are not going the way they should be going. Please make sure we talk to the town board, to the town building department. Make sure they know what's going on, because you guys are the ears and eyes and all of that of the community. So please make sure that they know, because the town wants to know that something's going askew. I mean, it is a big construction project, so we do expect some sort of disturbance to normal life. But if it's egregious, then I think we need to make sure the community does know, the town does know. All right, with that being said, what is the thoughts on this particular application from the board? We do have a public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
We have motion from John,
Second?
second from Jane. Walter?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
And an aye for me. So we close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board for the application itself?
So we make a motion to have a consultant draft the resolution for the shoreline stabilization.
Motion from John,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
And an aye for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up. Next up, 70 Leroy Road, development of a single-family dwelling, new driveway, well, and on-site wastewater septic system. Application steep slope SS 25-0. Location vacant land on Leroy Road and Bristol Lane, Chappaqua. Section block lot number is 99.6-2-20-2. Zone R40, owner Sean Shepard, applicant Jacob Shang Architecture, engineer architect Mike Jacobs.
It's another new public hearing. I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the public notice.
Motion from Jane,
Second.
second from John. Walter?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
And aye for me. Yeah, I'm more concerned for people who are, is anybody here for this application tonight? Okay, it's good to know at this point, but I want to make sure the public is able to see it too, because we've seen this already, so make sure the public sees it.
Okay.
And you're addressing the public more than us.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, folks. My name is Mike Jacobs. I'm an architect with Jacobs Chang. We're here for planning review on an application for a single-family home on a property in the village or in the town. I'll get right to it. We have, I think, there's about 12 or so open questions that have been accumulated over the last few meetings. Happy to address them individually, but I thought I'd just run through the project, introduce the public, if there's any questions. So 70 Leroy is in a residential neighborhood. It's on a sloped property atop a hill. The short history is 2009. It was subdivided from a property that is adjacent to it, 68 Bristol Lane. The APN map shows it a little bit more clearly. So the red outline is 70 Leroy. It's a flag lot, meaning it has a short kind of throat that comes in from the street, and then it opens up in the middle of the property. A little context, this is the approach on the street. The street is a private street, which is maintained by 5 or 6 neighbors that live on that street. Where the cars are parked is the entrance to the property. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see sort of the driveway throat of the property where you kind of approach. And then on the right-hand side, it's at the end of that kind of long drive where the property opens up. And what we see here is that it is on a sloped site. It's slightly wooded, but in the main area of the property is more or less level before it starts to drop off. And on the right-hand side, there's a copse of trees, which is essentially close to where the front door of the house might be. As we keep kind of looking in the same direction, on the left, you can see where the hillside pitches down a little bit. And in the foreground is where the proposed septic field and septic system will be. As we move to the south side of the property and look back towards where we were standing on the left, you can see the kind of relatively low-pitched or very level area of the land. That's where the septic infill will go, certified fill. And as we move further backwards on the right-hand side, we're moving down the more pitched or more sloped portion of the property, which is a little bit more heavily wooded. And this will be where the well will be located. Very quickly, through our DEC mapping, there is a freshwater, what's called an informational freshwater wetland. It's located on the opposite side of the street and down the hill on the other side. It will be essentially no effect from the development of this property at 70 Leroy, but for graphic sake, that's what it is. It's the purple area that you're seeing on the screen. And a topographical survey, where again we begin to see in this area the most heavily sloped and wooded, and this is a little bit less sloped, and then this is the more sort of flattened portion of the property. And that is what's reflected in the steep slopes diagram, where the darkest green is the steepest area, lighter green is the next less steep, dark gray, and then the light gray. So the proposed house, which you'll see in blue, that's the roof line. It's sort of working along the hillside. The gray areas are the impervious ground. We're not entirely sure how the patios will work yet, but essentially a driveway, which is either asphalt or concrete, a pathway to the front door, and then perhaps a little place to sit, and where the house sits here in this blue shade. Once we run the calculations, the house meets all the criteria of usable open space on the property, the grade of the driveway, the building height does not exceed the allowable, the floor area meets the criteria for the minimum and the max, I guess the minimum, and the building coverage meets the zoning code. This diagram may be a little hard to see, but the red lines show the setback requirements for this property, and the house and the proposal falls within that, so there's no zoning request for variances. And the 2009 subdivision had an approved septic field and expansion zone, basically in the same areas that you see the yellow. What we're asking to do is flip it, and so the new design is to take the expansion zone, which was approved in 2009, and make that the septic field, and flip this expansion zone to the other side. We've had test pits done. It's been kind of looked at and recalculated, so we still have we're still working through with the DEC on that, or sorry, the Board of Health, but we haven't had a final approval, but we think that's pending. And then you can see down at the lower area of the property, which is the well location. One of the questions that came up during the engineering review was to think about disturbance where we need trucks to get access to dig the well. So that's been accommodated here. We'll see a silt fence kind of wrapping this little portion from the kind of flat area of the staging with a truck that can come down and with a drill rig and drill the well right here. And then that'll get kind of replaced after construction. And there was another question that came up, I believe, in Mr. Cleary's notes about rock removal. There is kind of a rock outcropping on the property. So this yellow area is where we think we're going to have some rock disturbance. It's a little approximate at the moment. We don't know until we're really out there. But the goal is to remove as little as possible, but also to repurpose the stone. So the objective with the stone is to kind of cut it up and use it for the fireplace in the house and the chimney. There were some questions about tree removal. There are 8 trees that we're requesting approval to remove. Tree number 1, which we're calling T1, is located up in the driveway area. That's a Japanese maple tree. We would love to keep it. We think it's going to be almost impossible to keep it, but we will work towards that. And then there are 7 additional trees. All of them are invasives, and they're called princess trees. According to the Missouri Botanical Gardens, we really shouldn't be planting them or maintaining them. We should be cutting them down. Steep slope analysis. This diagram reflects the areas that are being disturbed by the driveway and the house. This is the area of regrading. of regraded areas. So again, certified cut and fill up where the septic is. And there was a question that came up, I think at our meeting in April, about proposing any future expansion of site work. So that included masonry or concrete retaining walls, as well as any future pool that might be proposed for the property. I believe my colleague who was here a few weeks ago talked about, or addressed that a little bit, but I thought we should just address it graphically. It's in our site plan that we've submitted to you, but this little portion right here, we have no goals of doing this at the moment, but a 17 by 30 foot pool could be put in this portion of the property in the future with a kind of open slat deck that kind of meets it with very little additional disturbance, if any. So when we look at where this little red rectangle and this little red rectangle are Coltech units for stormwater collection, those are going in either way, and we're going to have some disturbance between them. That area would be any kind of future pool, which we have no plans to build. So hopefully that addresses the question.
So if we're not going to build a pool, why are we talking about it?
Because you guys had asked us to show it.
Correct, but we want to make sure that, because any proposed pool, we're not cutting any slope, right? Like in this make-believe pool that we're
Yep.
talking about, are there steep slope impacts?
There's some regrading right in here, in this portion right here.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and we did ask you to think about it if you wanted to. What we asked you
Yep.
to do specifically was actually, do you want to do it or not do it?
Right.
Right? We didn't ask you to put a pool in. We asked you to think about it. Are you going to put the pool in, or are you not going to put the pool in? We need
It's
to know-
100% not part of our application. So I think perhaps we misunderstood, because I thought that what we had talked about was in this approval process to outline where it potentially could go. So if in the future somebody wanted to put it in, it will have been thought through.
No. I think what the conversation was, if there was an imminent plan to put in a pool,
Okay.
let's look at the entire application together.
Okay.
Well, what I don't want to have happen is we approve this application and then 5 years down the road, which I know this owner has no immediate plans, but there's always a future owner, and every house
Sure.
everywhere has a future owner. We want to make sure that we don't have somebody coming down the road 10 years from now who's the new owner of the home, or 20 years from now saying we want to add a pool. We want to make sure that we acknowledge that property as
It was
being
the
steep slope.
opposite, Mr. Chairman, so the purpose of the exercise was to demonstrate if it was a impactful location for a pool, your condition of steep slope permit for the home would include a condition that there would be no pools allowed.
Correct.
So what he's demonstrating is theoretically you could do it, so you don't have to include that condition unless for some reason you choose to.
All right, let's jump into it. Keep going.
Okay. Stormwater mitigation, there was a question about driveway runoff. We've added a Coltech unit at the foot of the driveway, and we've enlarged the 2 Coltech units. I think the engineering questions were about steep slopes, and so there were some added quantities there. And those calculations are in the site plan. And then there was a question of guardrails along the driveway edge, where the grading may be a little too steep. So we've added a little driveway guardrail here, and then of course at the bottom of the driveway, if we need one there. And just a few visuals, I'll leaf through these quickly. It's essentially a 1-story house over the hill with a half basement below, and the hillside just runs up under the house on the portion that does not have a lower level. That's it.
Thank you. Pat, this pool conversation. So the site plan that if we were to go on the approval process, then the site plan that we develop, is that going to have a pool in it or not?
No.
Okay. So what he has there, as long as this board is not signing off on,
No, not at all, Mr. Chairman. So that was a study to demonstrate if it could be feasible.
right.
So
So,
nothing-
and it's really immaterial to the future, because it's possible, but you would have to go through whatever process he needs to go through to cut it that steep slope.
But the extent of that steep slope impact may not trigger a steep slope permit from you. That's why it's important for you to evaluate that.
Right.
So if you find that to be an unacceptable condition, you can impose it in this steep slopes permit, because you may never get another bite at that. It may be below the 500 square foot limit, which sends it to the engineering department.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity, if you choose, to weigh in on the future pool issue. Because as you know, as you said, that's the issue. The next guy who owns the property comes
Right.
in and says, I didn't know anything about pools, I want a pool.
Okay,
So you can make it
understood.
clear to them that it would be an unacceptable condition.
Yep. All right, thank you. 1 second, we'll just ask my board, any questions or comments on this with the applicant?
Dave's questions are all answered?
They are.
Anyone
I
else?
just don't think we have enough on the pool to restrict it down the line. At this point, you know, it's not a full application on the pool, so.
Yeah, based on what Mike has shown you, it is conceivable on the site.
Right, so I don't feel it. Okay.
Okay, any final questions or comments?
There was a question earlier on whether the property would have a generator. Has that been squared away? And the size of the generator?
We have not finalized. My assumption is that yes, there will be a generator on the property, just because of the nature where it's located. We don't have a location, but in our proposed site plan, we do have, at the foot of the driveway in this area, HVAC unit, condenser unit, and that's probably the location where a generator would fit. And if that's,
So the generator is the same conversation as the pool. If it's possible in the future, you should tell us where it is.
Okay.
It should be an appropriate location.
okay, so in our site plan, we do have equipment down in this area.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Walter?
It does, but Pat, does that trigger any other action by the board based on the size of the generator that they may
So
come
we
back
have
with?
our residential limit for the size of a generator. We'd have to comply with that. I think it's 25 kilowatt.
Okay.
But I think if, because we're talking about it, Mike, it should be shown on your plan.
Okay.
So provide the footprint on the plan so we know where it would be.
Okay. So, unless I hear anything, I think we don't have any final comments from the board. So we do have an open application for a public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board would do with a public hearing? What do you want to do with the public hearing?
You need to open it.
You need to open it, no one spoke yet.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Well, wait a
Second.
minute. We didn't open the public
No,
hearing?
you didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Oh,
Yeah, you do.
You open it, but you didn't.
what did we do?
We didn't ask the public this week.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
The
Yeah,
people part of the public hearing.
that's right, I'm sorry. All right. So, all right, we're here for a public hearing on 70 Leroy Avenue. Good thing I have people here to help me today. It's been a little bit of a long day. Anybody here for this application for 70 Leroy Road, development of a single-family dwelling, new driveway in Chappaqua, New York? Anybody here tonight for this particular application, 70 Leroy Road? Let the record show nobody's here tonight for 70 Leroy Road. With that being said, I missed a step. With that being said, we need to take an action on the public hearing.
Sweater, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a good point, thank you. See, I have a lot of help tonight. We did get a letter from the public from Paul Gakaj, I'm sorry, I couldn't say his name. Jekka. He's saying the only concern we have is, he's a neighbor, the only concern we have at 72 Lee Road is that we want the property staked out so that everyone is clear about the boundaries.
Question for you about that. So, they're gonna be staking out where they're building. They have a survey of their property, and 72 Leroy must have a survey of their property. Why would he stake out the property boundaries?
So we would normally not require property boundaries to be staked out unless there was a fence or something shared between property owners. So that would be unprecedented for us to require that.
Just, yeah, I mean, if he wants it, if you guys talk together and wanna get a survey to stake out your property, then work it out between both of you, that's fine, but
Yeah,
there's no reason for it.
There was, if you remember, some dispute about the flagpole portion of this in the driveway. So I don't know if that's been a topic of conversation.
Have you had any conversation with them?
It hasn't been yet, no.
Okay, so maybe, no.
Have you met this particular neighbor?
No,
You have not.
no. I mean, I'm happy to connect. I think we would, of course, expect to do what's expected of us. sometimes we'll have a requirement to do an as-built survey once the foundations are in.
That is a requirement.
So that would be,
Well, all I could say is there's things that are legally required and there's things that we should do.
Yeah.
Right? So this is going to be a new neighbor
you know,
moving in. It would behoove you to make sure that we've ironed out any confusion over property line before everything begins. I would think it would be a beneficial comment to have.
I would agree.
We
Yeah.
can't dictate that you do that conversation, but I would strongly encourage you to do that. You may become best friends in that neighborhood. The owner of the new house and the existing home may become best friends someday, but let's make sure we lay the foundation for that friendship. Okay. All right. All right, so that being said, we do have this public hearing. We've heard no comments from the public. We've heard from board members. We need to make a decision what we do with the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion from John,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter,
Aye.
John, Jane,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Okay, now we have to make a decision what we do with the application itself. Now, I will say, I do think we need to put some stronger language in about this pool conversation, myself. I want to make sure that because we keep getting them. People keep coming back to us, we approve these applications, and 3 years later, we have a pool request.
So can we make a motion to approve the, have Pat draft the resolution with no pool, right? Contingent upon he shows the generator layout.
Yes?
Okay,
I'll just do that.
all right, so is that a motion? Sounds like a motion to me.
Sounds like a motion to me.
We got a motion from John,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter,
Aye.
John,
All right.
Jane,
Aye.
and an aye from me.
I just want to make sure, if they want to do a pool, I mean, you gotta,
There's no intention to have
okay.
a pool.
Yeah. I don't want to
We
cut you
literally
short.
only
If they
wanted
wanna do a
their-
pool, then you should do
Right,
the
but
right
in the
application.
future, if
Right.
they have to come in.
All right, so thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Next up is number 3, proposed legalized installation of a 60 kilowatt generator by River Valley Wine Centers. Application site plan PSP 25-3, location 9 Skyline Drive, Suite 1, Hawthorne, section block lot numbers 116.8-1-1.2.4 is owner OB6, owner M&S Storage LLC, applicant is Marcy Engineering.
I'm on the public hearing. I'll make a motion that we waive the
Yeah, that's-
reading of the notice.
That's become your official job
That's my
tonight.
job tonight.
Okay, motion from Jane,
Second.
second from John. Walter?
Aye.
John?
All right.
Jane?
Aye.
And an aye from me. The public hearing has been waived.
So Pat, what are they here back for? What were we missing from them that they came back?
We weren't missing anything on this, so this is just the public hearing.
Okay. When you're ready, we're ready.
Jake Stone, Marcy Engineering. We are the applicants for this project at River Valley Wine Cellars at 9 Skyline Drive in Hawthorne. The project is to legalize an existing generator that was installed and never filed properly, so we're going through the motions to file it properly and bring it up to code to add a couple of things. Do you want to go to the next? This is the location. You can see it indicated with that red arrow behind the building in this industrial park. Next. Just site plan shown out in the bottom left. There's 2 other generators already installed and legalized by other building owner. That's photo of the generator as it currently sits. Just showing location relative to the nearest house, 600 plus feet away. No impact on parking. Again, it's an industrial area. This is our drawing, just site plan showing the location. Next. This is a zoomed-in shot of our plan showing the generator plus some proposed work. So if you remember, that generator was just sitting there on a pad out in the open. So in response to some requirements from the town, we are adding a chain link fence around it, as well as bollards to protect it. We are also adding spill containment. It is a natural gas generator, so not a significant concern of any pollution or leakage, but there is lubricant oils and such in the motor, so adding a small spill containment curb on that pad in the event of a leak. We can come back to this if there's any questions, but just we have hit all of the specific requirements that the town has for commercial generator installations. Next. So that's just a quick overview. If there's any questions, we can dive into more details. We've presented everything to the board in the past, so
Okay,
be
let's just,
expedient.
let's field the board. Any questions or comments on 9 Skyline Drive? Okay, let the record show there's no questions or comments. We are here for public hearing. I didn't forget the public part this time. Anybody here tonight for 9 Skyline Drive from the public? Just raise your hand, and we will give you a number. If you have a number, you can speak. If you don't have a number, you can't speak. I'm not seeing any hands, so let the record show that nope, you don't have any public comment here tonight. So with that being said, what is the pleasure of the board to do with the public hearing itself?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion from John,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter,
Aye.
John, Jean,
Aye.
and an aye from me. So the public hearing is closed. Now we have to take a look at the application itself and ask the consultant to do something.
Make a motion for the consultant to draft a resolution.
Motion from John,
Second.
second from Jean. Walter,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Okay, that was easy. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going into non-public hearings or continuing applications. These are applications that we have heard before, but they weren't quite ready for a public hearing yet. So first up is 6 Swallow Road, Hawthorne, amendment of previously approved site plan PSP 24-01, restaurant with venue space. The amendment includes additions to the existing building, 2 outdoor bars, accessory structures, patios, and parking lot expansions. Some of these actions will partially take place within steep slope, very steep slope, and excessively steep slope areas. Application site plan PSP 25-4, steep slope SS 25-06, location 6 Swallow Road, Hawthorne, section block law number 116.7-1-15, zone CRB, owner Lisetai Realty. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I'll go with it. Applicant and engineer is Ralph Alfonsetti. Welcome. And just, for those people who live in town, 6 Swallow Road is the former Gasho of Japan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Philip Manuel Design Associates. I would like first to start with the amendments to the building. I know last time the outdoor seating was discussed. I would address that as well. And I'll also address some of the comments and discussion at that meeting. So our client proposed to amend that original, approval. Originally, we had the special event space, which was on the east side of the existing building, in this section over here. So what he decided to do is switch it and move it to the west side. And the most important thing is keeping the occupancy identical to what was approved before. It was approved at 256 people. So the assembly net space was exactly the same.
So can I summarize? You're going to have the outdoor venue or not?
We will.
And
But-
where's it going to be?
It's going to be in here. But keep in mind, the outdoor venue that was discussed last time, these are tied in with the people using this. It's one and the same venue. So the occupancy, we're not asking for any increase in occupancy. The same 256, if there's 256 people in here, they would be the same people who are selling on the outside.
So
And then
behind that building, there's a hill.
there's a hill. Right there's an existing parking lot.
Yup.
So originally, the addition went between the existing east side of the structure to the existing retaining wall. We're not doing that anymore. We're just doing addition on the west side now.
All right, I'm still confused, and maybe you can help me get less confused. Behind that building, there's a hill.
Correct, right there.
So that's the new, okay, so that's behind the building, okay.
Correct.
So that's the back parking lot in the back. way in the
Correct.
back, and
Right over here.
There's a big retaining wall between the building and that hill, and there's a big
Correct.
retaining wall, and there's a flat
Correct.
for that parking lot. So
Correct.
that's going to be parking lot.
Parking lot.
To the
Yeah.
left of that is going to be the outdoor venue.
Correct.
So we are going to do an outdoor venue with
Correct.
256 people.
Correct.
So what is different between what we proposed before, which is on the left-hand side of the koi pond, and the right-hand side? And I know the answer, but I just want to make
Well,
sure.
originally, we didn't have the outdoor seating.
Got it.
Yeah, we didn't have that. All right? So the 256 people that were on this side, we borrowed part of the existing structure to achieve that. So now the restaurant, the existing restaurant will remain in this area with the kitchen right over here.
So we still have the same problem that we brought up before with the parking.
Well, we're not
Conversation.
changing anything, really. The parking, we're not changing that. It was approved at 101 cars, and we have 102, because we didn't increase the occupancy at all. The occupancy is the same.
Okay, so you have an outdoor venue of 256 people?
Correct. But these are the same people. In other words, they'll have the ceremony here. Those same 256 people will be ushered in to use the indoor special event space. So these are the same people using the two spaces. So this
Okay.
space will be used for an outdoor, on a beautiful day, they'll have an outdoor ceremony, and the actual party they'll be ushered in for the party inside the special events space.
Okay.
Where are you adding new parking?
We're adding new parking over here, right over there, and right over here.
Are we changing steep slopes for that parking?
Actually, this is fairly flat here, and it is flat up there too.
So none of the parking is in the steep slope?
No, none of it is,
Okay.
because this section of the parking lot is existing. We added a few more over here, which is fairly flat there, and we added a couple more over there. All of these will remain exactly the same.
So when we say fairly flat, it's either flat or it's not. So
It's flat, it's flat. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's going in the steep slope, the very steep slope, and the excessively steep slope?
Well, obviously, we have a new set of retaining walls right over here,
And that's in the, which
which would be part of the steep slope there.
which excessively, or
Well,
can't read the?
Well, we have two walls here. I don't know, Ralph, if you want to talk to that, the civil engineer, Ralph Alfonsetti, could address this a little better.
What's going in the, you have on here that you're going into the steep slope, the very steep slope, and the excessively steep slope, so.
Yeah, it's all this area. As it goes further up the hill, it goes, the slope categories get higher.
Yep.
So this is the area that we're hitting on.
And what is that slope there?
I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but that's the very steep slope up here.
Well, so what
That's
there's,
the retaining wall.
Those are two-tier retaining walls, 6 foot each.
so what they're essentially doing is extending the retaining wall for the parking lot, which is next door to it, because you do have a retaining wall right there,
There's a retaining wall here
and one on top.
and one here, yes.
And
And
is-
there is an irregular shaped one here that we're gonna be rebuilding.
And is that the same height of the one that runs into in the parking lot?
Yeah, approximately. This one's a little bit less.
What, exactly, like 6 feet? One
Um,
is, yours is 6 feet, what is that?
Ours is 6, ours is 6 and then 6 again. I don't know the exact numbers on this one, but I believe it's around 6. So because we have a double wall, it seems like this one will be higher.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, Gene?
Nope.
Okay, why don't you have a few more things to review, I think, right?
Oh, sure. And then one of the other amendments to the architectural plan, we had a much larger entry foyer, and it was considerably reduced. It's about a quarter now of what it used to be. You know, I think it used to jut out about 24 feet, so it's about 6 feet right now. We kept it pretty much the same size footprint as it is right now, but it'll be a new structure, which I'll show you on the rendering there. And what we're keeping is the, that wing over there, there was a bride's suite there, that's going to remain as is. And then there was a second floor addition over the existing footprint right over here, that will remain exactly the same as approved last year.
Where is the house that's next door to it? On that, there is a house next door to that building,
Which building?
to the whole structure, the whole restaurant. There's a building there's a house to the left of it.
Probably
I
somewhere
put it
in
up
here.
last time too.
Yeah, probably in here, which, that's a site over here, it's very small, but I think probably in here.
I think we need to know the answer to that question if we go further on for this
But
application.
which part of the application?
I want to know.
For this?
I want to know where that house is because we're putting an outdoor venue there, and I want to know where that house is. And I know I brought it up before.
Mhm.
So if there is a house next door, I want to know where that house is next door on this map, so we can speak specifically to what's out there. Because I want to make sure that we are aware of there's a neighbor who's may have to endure some hardship with this venue being there.
I think the house that you're speaking about is, I think the house you're talking about is in this area here. I don't have the actual structure showing, but it is in this area here.
Okay, so that's fairly close.
What's the address here?
6 on
Six.
Oliver Road.
6?
6.
Ours is 6, yes.
And there is positively 100% a house there.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that we address that particular house because they have the undue hardship of being next door to an outdoor venue. Right? I mean, so I want to make sure that we're considering them when we're looking at this entire application. Doesn't mean anything one way or the other, but I know I brought it up before. Let's put it on the site plan. Let's make sure we understand specifically what is there. They are definitely an affected party by this application. I know there's nothing else behind it. There's nothing else to side, but I know 150%. I said 100%, 150%. There's a house there. Yep. Yep. We want to see it on here.
Yeah, we can add the outline of the house to the site plan.
Yep.
I mean, the owner can speak to this more, but I believe the idea of the outdoor space is only be used during ceremonies and things like that. But I think the owner and Philippe
You're
can talk
opening
more
you're
about
opening a door that I know I may challenge you on. I'm not going to challenge you on it because we know that's not going to happen, right? Because whether the restaurant is with this owner or another owner, once that space is there, the space is there, right? So there's nothing the town can do to restrict the use of it from one party to the next. We're not going to be involved with the day-to-day operations of the site. So I know we're hearing the good words, right? But we don't know if those good words are actually going to be held to that standard.
Well, you could say that about any project then.
And we do,
So-
and we do actually, because what I'm more concerned about is maybe this owner doesn't have a plan to do it. You heard me say that before about the pool. It's always the future owner. It's always the future owner that's going to come back and make us have a different idea once they see that space. So, okay, thank you.
And we'd like to show you rendering that was prepared for the actual, the addition, the atrium structure here. Okay. It's one view over there. And then this was another view. That's the addition over there. And this is the existing A-frame over there. And that's the entrance, the vestibule there.
Okay. Okay. If anybody from the public wants to see it, he can pivot it around. If anybody's, just do me a favor, just pivot this around so the public can see this. Just because though it's not a public hearing, I want you to see it just because you're here tonight. You took the trip out tonight. So this is the Gasho of Japan building. We're not taking comments on this one tonight, but this is what it's going to propose to look like. Okay. Thank you for doing that. Okay. All right, with that being said, anything else?
That's about it. We'd be
Okay.
more than happy to answer any more questions.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
So the glass structure, that's where the party will actually take place?
Correct, yes,
So that's where the band will actually be?
exactly. So the idea would be outside, in terms of the noise, that was issues that was brought up last time. There will be no band, no DJ outside. Everything, people will be ushered in after the ceremony into the big space, and that's where the DJing, the band would happen, dancing, everything else.
And it's 100% glass structure.
Pretty much, yeah.
How soundproof is that if you're a neighbor? Soundproof glass?
Soundproof glass as well. With the shade. Sorry, Mike Pasqualini.
It's the owner.
It has the shades, it has soundproof glass, and then all the trees and everything we're putting inside of it's gonna absorb a lot of the sound.
What about heating and air conditioning?
We're gonna have heating and air conditioning, obviously, as well. We're gonna install either the up top with the spiral, or when we dig out the foundation, we're gonna put it underneath the units.
Any plans for a generator on the site?
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's right, you did have that in there.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I remember it now.
Generator. Located over here.
Yeah,
In that alleyway there.
okay. That's good to have.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's needed.
And you're keeping, if I remember, the ponds and all of that?
Right,
Yeah.
we're keeping the pond, we're keeping everything the same, and the reason we actually changed the plan was because, I mean, it was a great iconic building for many years, and it just makes sense to keep it instead of demoing everything out. The bones are very good, so we're gonna renovate the whole existing building, and that's why we're gonna put the addition to the left.
The legend is that some of the timber from the building actually came from Japan. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
It's true.
Yeah,
Right here.
okay. That's regardless of that, but I thought it, fun fact. Okay, any other questions or comments from board members?
As far as outside goes, just so you know, as Philippe had mentioned to you, where we're gonna have our outdoor space, it's just gonna be for ceremony. There's gonna be no bands. I know what you're saying. If the property is sold, it's not, well, if it's not gonna be sold.
That would be contingent upon anything.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, if we decide to go with this, that's contingent. I mean, the only thing you're gonna have out there is probably a organ player or something, or a violinist. Yeah, you're not.
And on the right side is where the restaurant's gonna be anyway. So you're gonna have the outdoor seating, and then when we're having a special event, that's when we're gonna shift everybody to the left side, so nobody's even gonna be on the outside anyway. And you have to remember, people are spending money when they're coming to LeVay, so we wanna make sure they're not too comfortable outside. We wanna make sure they're gonna be in the main room party.
They do make, we have a few buildings, we're building schools that they do make the soundproof. It's pretty
glass?
amazing, yeah.
We did have a couple questions on the landscape, and I know there was green giant arborvitae that was going to be put up there, which I think we get questions about the green giants.
Yeah, the best growers, as you know, they get large. I think we have enough room where we don't have to put them right up against the parking lot. We could pull them back a bit.
Yeah.
And we'll get some good height for screening.
Thank you. So you can put green giant arborvitaes in the front and the sides.
Green giant, and then we're using a emerald arborvitae in this because it's a narrower space. There's some stormwater structures between the parking lot and the building, so we're putting a row of arborvitae along there that separates the parking lot from the venue space.
And you don't have any room in the front of that building beyond those arborvitaes. That's not your property, or is that state property?
The property line is here.
Oh, that's right.
So we do have some room if we could pop a couple ornamental trees or...
So what we've been doing, at least I've been suggesting, and the board has been supporting me in my quest to be Johnny Appleseed on 9A, try and put a decorative tree or two or three in there. We did it on a couple of the applications come up for us. You notice Amazon, that building has some trees in the front. And we want to do that, at least I think it's a good idea to be Johnny Appleseed and try to create some sort of landscape there, because it started to look a little bit stark now, that whole corridor. So it's not a big ask, but I would ask you to thoughtfully consider adding something there that would, create a little bit of a treescape along that road.
Sure, yeah, no problem, we can do that.
Where is Dykes Lumber?
Right,
To the right or the left? Where are-
to the
where is it?
left,
Past it, right?
north.
To the left. So, one question I have, or one worry I have is, when you have a venue with 250 people, what are you gonna do at nighttime when they're leaving? You just gonna let everybody pull out of there?
So what we're working on right now is to get a sign put across the street from us to make a right turn only.
Right.
So obviously we're going through the process right now, but we're in contact with I forgot who it is, to get a sign so when you're pulling out, you're just making a right. You're not going to make a left anymore.
Okay, because some of these catering halls, now, it's up to you guys. I mean, 9A is busy enough, but if you guys get rocking and rolling and you're having these weddings every weekend or whatever the case may be, you may want to, contact the town and work something out with them to, when it's time to leave, they have like maybe, some type of flaggers or police out there, because that's a bad turn. I was there the other day picking up lumber at Dyke. That's a bad turn. And the minute something happens, you're gonna have a problem. So the minute, God forbid, there's an accident there for that area, it's gonna be a problem. So, I've seen other people I know have catering halls in there, when they have a big venue on a weekend, and it's, you're doing these parties on Saturday and Friday and Saturday, whatever the case may be. Just a thought, for safety reasons. I mean, I know you probably did a traffic study already and all that good stuff, but that's a real hairy turn, man. And it may, for whatever it's gonna cost, it may be a good idea for you to say, all right, we're gonna need that for that night.
That's a big liability, so absolutely.
You don't want any kind of something bad. It looks beautiful, and I wish you all the best. But for a couple dollars, you know what I'm saying? It might be worth it for you.
And if it makes you feel better, we talked to the neighbor. We're going to hire her.
Good. Good. Okay, all right, so you heard some of the thoughts from the board. I think you guys are, have some things to think about, but from the town perspective, have we dotted the i's across the t's?
Not yet, so we haven't heard from Dave Smith yet.
Yeah,
So normally we hear from Dave before you set the public hearing.
yeah.
And I would suggest, just the conversation we just had, perhaps think about a level where we would engage the police department to monitor the site. So if it's 100 people, 150 people, whatever it might be, whenever there's a party in excess of X, you contact the police department and let them know. Perhaps you can do that ahead of time, or hire an off-duty cop to do that, or whatever it might be. So let's think about how we install that system.
I mean, it's not they're gonna be all night. It's just coming and leaving. It's worth it.
I don't know what the threshold is, John.
Yeah.
50 people, 100 people, like 200 people.
I got you.
We'll definitely look into that. I mean, like I said, it's my liability, so it makes a lot
Yep.
of sense to have that. So.
And I would love to see something in that plan for my Johnny Appleseed project. So thank you. All right, that's enough from us, I think, tonight.
All right. So the next one is they gotta come for a public hearing, right?
Well, no, they have to get sign off from Dave
Dave.
Smith,
And then a public hearing.
and then a public hearing.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns that we can answer for
No,
you?
I think we've enumerated all of them. And, so the questions that we're trying to enumerate are, we're anticipating, if the public does come, these are the questions that are coming from the public. So we're trying to preempt the questions, so we're prepared for those questions when they come here. But the parking is definitely, overall a concern. I think, when we have 101 parking spots. And
102, it was approved for 101.
yeah, it's tight. And I do know my concern is cars are going to end up, and I've said it before, cars are going to end up on 9A parked at night.
Well, we're going to have in-house valet around the clock, and especially for our special events, they're going to be coming probably 3-4 people per car that we're factoring in as well. And we're not even factoring the spaces going down the hill, right? The 4 or 5 spaces going down, which are another 4 or 5 if we need them.
But the in-house valet doesn't do much if you don't have enough parking, though, right?
Well, not really, because at my other venue, we have in-house valet every single event. And if we're doing an event for 200 people, we only have 70 spots. and it works.
I mean, it's beneficial because sometimes the population can be older and going up and down that hill can be a lot. So it's helpful to them. It's a good thing to have a valet, but I still don't think it solves your parking dilemma.
Well, we had last time, I guess, or last year, we had a comprehensive study, which was.
No, and I've seen.
Yeah,
You're right.
I've seen that. So pretty much nothing has changed because there was no increase in occupancy. We made sure that, basically the room moved from the east side of the building to the west side, and the net area of the assembly is the same, 250. Actually, it's even a little less by 255. So
Yeah.
it's just the same thing. So that's why the parking remained the same. We figured, well, there's no change to it. The parking study remains as is because there was no increase in occupancy, basically.
Understood.
Yeah.
Still a concern, though.
Oh, that's
We'll leave it at that.
okay.
All right. That's it from us, I think, tonight.
Great. Thank you very much. Good night.
Okay. Next up, it's also a continuing application, which means we've heard this application before and we're hearing them again tonight. 95 Bradhurst Blythefield Children's Hospital 3-phase improvement plan, including expansion for long-term care, parking deck, and improvements to site utilities and infrastructure. Application site plan SP 25-02, location 95 Bradhurst Avenue, Valhalla, section block lot number 117.17-1-2, zone R20. Owner and applicant is Blythedale Children's Hospital engineer, architect, and Langen Colliers E4H Architecture. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to you and members of the board. For the record, my name is Janet Garris. I'm a partner with Del Bello, Dinellen, Weingarten, Wise & Whitaker here this evening on behalf of the applicant. We have our entire consulting team with us here this evening, and I know that you're familiar with the application. So just to refresh your recollection, this is an application for site plan approval, amended site plan approval from the planning board for improvements to the property, which are intended to be done in 3 phases. The first phase was the parking structure, which would include 132 parking spaces. Second phase would be the construction of the emergency access and ring road around the existing hospital building together with related infrastructure. And the third phase would be the construction of a 2-story addition to the existing hospital to accommodate an additional 44 long-term care beds. So we've been here a couple of times before you. We've received comments from your planning consultant. We addressed those in a submission to the board that we discussed with you when we were last here on June 5th. Since that time, we received 1 round of comments from your town engineer, Mr. Smith. We had hoped to receive them before we were last before you on June 5th. I think we received them sometime around June 10th, and we've responded to those. We are awaiting a response from Mr. Smith on our resubmission. As you may or may not remember, there was a very extensive traffic study that was submitted as part of the application, over 250 pages. When we were before you back in June, we had talked about the town retaining a consultant to review that traffic study. You have done that. That is Labella. They have provided comments, and we were hoping to talk with you and your consultant about those comments this evening. I don't know if there's anybody here from Labella tonight. But we do have our traffic engineer to go through those comments with you and to discuss how we intend to respond to those things. In addition, I know that there were a couple of other things the board raised that we'd like to show you this evening, which were part of our submission to the board, including with regard to the parking structure and the lighting that is being proposed there, and just to show that there are no impacts of that lighting which go beyond the proposed building itself and also to the property line. So I don't want to belabor my portion of this evening, but I'd like to introduce our traffic engineer, Rich D'Andrea, and he'll go through Labella's comments if somebody from Labella is not here.
I do not know if anybody from Labella's here. I don't think so.
No one's here. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. We weren't sure when we weren't sure if there was going to be somebody here, so.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rich D'Andrea, Colliers Engineering and Design. So we did review Labella's comment memo. There's some things in there that they have kind of agreed with in our study and some things that they're asking for some additional information on. For one, they highlighted that the planning applications identified a 2028 design year for the project. Our traffic analysis was based on a 2027 build design year. Our study was done originally in 2024, and that's kind of what we were anticipating at the time. So what they've requested is that we expand our analysis to 2028 design year, so we will be revising that to address that comment. They've also asked us to confirm that we've included all the other development projects that are in the area with the town. So we believe we've addressed that, but we will confirm that as part of our revised analysis. They've also asked for some clarifications on our crash analysis that we've conducted, just some refinements on identifying some of the crash patterns. So we'll provide that as part of our updated traffic study. And then the other thing that they asked for was a detailed speed study along the right in front of the site there, mainly to identify what the actual speeds are for sight distance purposes coming out of the driveways. So we're in the process of doing some data collection actually this week to identify the speeds along the roadway, and that will also be part of our revised analysis. Those are the primary things that are in their memo that we'll definitely be addressing. We'll provide written responses to all their comments as well. And then the other thing that we did talk about last time while we were here was the possibility of access to Grasslands Road. So we have engaged the Department of Transportation to review the project and asked them to opine on the possibility of that. We haven't received response back. We submitted to them, I think it was June 20th, I want to say, so a month ago, basically. We kind of anticipated that it would probably be between 45 days and 60 days before we heard back from them on that. So we're still in that time frame and waiting for a response on that. So hopefully by the time we come back for you before the next meeting, we'll have an answer that we can provide you an update on.
Good luck. We have from DOT?
Yeah.
We're waiting 3 years.
Okay, anything else? I think that's the summary, unless you have any questions. Can we make sure that this traffic study is available online for the public? Because I know the public is here.
Good idea.
So just because they're going to ask. Yep. And I want to make sure. So within a couple days, this traffic study will be available. I'm assuming a couple days. I mean, shouldn't Carolyn, right? I mean, everything, because there's no reason not to. It's the town planning board, we requested it and it should be available to the public for their review. So to answer those questions. And then I do have a quick question on the speed conversation. When are you going to do that? Soon?
It's in the process right now.
It's in the process.
We put out a tube machine last week that's going to be out there probably till Wednesday.
Okay.
To collect several days of speed data, and then we'll analyze that and determine what the speeds are.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from board members?
Has your request to DOT been sent to the town engineer?
I don't believe we copied the town engineer, but we can provide that to him.
I would like you to submit that.
Okay.
So it becomes part of the record, Carolyn. This way the board can see what they had sent to the DOT.
No problem.
And it seems like you're continually pushing back on Grasslands.
We're going to let DOT say what.
But what your road is pushing back in your comments, though you do end it with the note that you would send it off to DOT.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is that there's some complications with access there, but we'll let DOT make the determination.
And have you even considered using Grasslands during construction to ease access into and out of the site?
It's not something that we've discussed, but we can take a look at that.
Because I think you need to think out of the box.
Okay.
Because it's heavily traveled road. When this project does go before the public, they're going to be lining up talking about traffic and the use of Grasslands.
Understood.
And right now, you're not prepared to address the public.
DOT is going to dictate what we can do there. So,
So that's why it's also important for us to see what you wrote to the DOT,
understood.
because it could be a one-sided argument that you sent to them.
I can tell you we didn't make any argument one way or the other. We just provided them with the information and with that we wanted them to opine on whether access would be permissible there.
I would stress it. I would stress the access to grassland, don't you think? So maybe that's the way you want to go, instead of just saying, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think I would stress it to say, hey, we're gonna really need this access because it's gonna be tough. That's a busy road there.
But they're pushing against it.
But respectfully, I think that when you look at this site plan and you look at that section of Grasslands Road, which is adjacent to this site, that section of Grasslands Road, which is adjacent to this site, is the entrance ramp for the spring.
You have a little room there. You have room.
So
I get
there's
what
a
you're
little
saying.
bit of room, but there are also site distance issues as well. So when we say that there are some challenges in looking at that, that's the truth.
The challenges,
And-
looks to me, is the cost.
The entrance ramp
That's
comes with
gonna be a
that,
challenge.
where that blue square is,
Yeah.
and it's right after you make the turn onto Grasslands.
Right, so there,
So can we, I'm sorry, can we just, the mic is a good thing, because people can't hear. I'm seeing people do this with their ears.
right, so again, there are challenges. It's not something that we're just saying no to because we're not interested in or we don't want to do. There are challenges with that. So we need to get permission from DOT. We've submitted it to DOT. We've asked for their position on it, and we await that. And when we receive it, we'll certainly forward it to the board.
But we would like to see what you sent prior to receipt of a response from DOT.
We've already said we will submit it to
So
you.
I'm just reiterating that fact.
Understood.
Yeah, because I think there's a couple ideas floating through my mind that I'm not a traffic engineer, nor do I pretend to be, but, there could be conversation about doing it in and out of Blythedale Hospital. There's also a conversation about doing just an out, or there's a conversation of doing nothing at all on Grasslands Road. Because it may be difficult to do in and out, because you have to cross over that 4-lane road, but you may be able to mitigate some of the traffic with at least an out, if you will.
There's a median on Grasslands Road that you wouldn't be able to cross.
Right, that's what I'm referring to, right, specifically.
Right.
Like, so that would probably mitigate some of the traffic, so it's, right, and thank you for hearing us too, by the way. I know, we're challenging a little bit, but I think that's our job, and I think you guys are, understanding our perspective at least, because we, at the end of the day, have to represent what's going to happen once we get to public hearing, and we need to have those answers, and what our plan is going to be for Grasslands Road. Is there a plan or not a plan? If there is a plan, what is that specifically? So thank you for hearing our comments. Any other comments at this point? So I know we have more items to button up with Dave Smith. We want to get a response from them. We want to make sure we get this stuff up for the public so they can hear it, see it. Anything else we're missing?
I think the applicant wanted to talk to you about lighting and
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm rushing you along. Listen.
No problem at all.
But now you got the mic.
Good evening,
So that's
Dan
good.
Paisano, JLL, the owner's representative for Blythedale Children's Hospital. We did show you this photometric plan last time, but we expanded upon the plan, and we wanted to just elaborate on this plan a little bit.
I hate to be the annoying chairman, but can you just pivot this a little bit so the there's public here tonight. So
No
when he's
problem.
talking about where, because we can see it pretty much, Jane, but I think you're good, you've seen it. They're talking about where the light is going to go from the parking structure.
So this is specific to the parking structure. All right, so this angled red line here is Lisa Lane, and the top side red line is the Sprain side of the site, and those are the property lines. What you'll see in blue or black outlined here is the actual parking structure itself, and the 4 circles represent the top side of the deck and the site lights that'll be on the top side of the deck, their locations. The numbers here represent actual light. So what you'll see is as you get to the exterior of the building, there is 0 light disbursement outside of the building footprint. So when you get to the property lines, there's absolutely no light pollution. So it won't be disturbing the neighbors. So we just wanted to represent that, show that to you guys so you can understand what the lighting will look like around the deck.
All right, thank you.
At the end of the deck, I have a question. So the Lisa Lane, there's houses there. You're now building up, so we're talking about the lights from the street lights or whatever they are. But what about when people are driving in and out with headlights? Is there anything that's gonna block it so they're not having lights shining in their bedrooms?
Yeah, so there'll be a wall here that is about 4 feet high or so. That'll be when people drive up. Now, this will be ramped, right? And when they'll get to the top side, there'll be a wall there that's about 4 feet high that'll block lights from shining into their windows.
Okay.
There'll also be an extensive amount of trees that provide
That are being added.
that provide that screening so that that doesn't happen either.
Okay. Anything else?
I just wanted to add one more thing. I know that. I just wanted to add one more thing. I know that in response to Mr. Cleary's comments when we were before you in June, we had advised you that we were working with your building inspector with regard to what the variances were going to be on the property. So I met with him a number of times, just as recently as Thursday. I think we have ironed out what variances we need, and we will circle back with him and we will request that formal determination from him, and then we will be able to share with you at our next submission what those variances will be.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Can you just clarify, is there a building code prohibition for enclosing that one wall on the parking garage?
Is there, I'm sorry, what was the question?
A building code prohibition? You gotta keep the garage open, but can you have that wall in particular closed?
On the bottom and the top side?
Yeah, so there's no noise, no lights in any way?
I'm not new to look at it. I'm not sure if it's, there'll be a.
There's no roof, so
Yeah.
it would only be on the bottom.
Right.
Right. The bottom side will have a partial wall as well.
That's what I'm
but
like, can that be enclosed? That would
on the back side.
prevent door slams from the neighbor's area.
Okay.
Or maybe a screen,
Yeah.
That's a good,
Okay. Something we can look at.
it just.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for tonight.
Okay. So I know we're not taking public comment today, but I just want to give direction to the public. So we're not scheduling a public hearing tonight. They are still buttoning up their, I was going to say button up your I's and T's, but that's not really an expression, is it? Dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Yeah, they're going through their process today. So we will make available to the public the traffic studies. They'll be online, I'm going to guess, in a day or two, so take a look. They will be available. The more recent one that we did, as well as the previous one that's out there. I think we have quite a bit up there online already, right, Carolyn, for Blythedale?
I'll double check, I'm not sure where we got those on.
Yeah, erring on the side of putting up is better than not. So we're going to put up as much as we can up on the site. Then the other thing we're going to make sure is that if and when, and that's a big if and when, we do get to a public hearing, the process for notification of a public hearing is different than what this is tonight. I know we have a sign, the floppy sign goes up, in lack of a better word, but that process is a little bit different. There's a bigger sign, and there will be a public notice going to the adjoining property owners and probably more. I would think I would like to see it go to some more specific neighbors, specifically Lisa Lane. I can't remember off the top of my head, Ormond Place and Thomas Place, and I think there's one more. Right. Ormond, yeah, there's a few there. So, but that's for the board to decide, not for me to decide. So we will make sure the public is aware when that public hearing is. Now, when we get to the public hearing, it can either go one night, it can go 2 nights, it could go 3 nights. I don't think it will, but it's not a one and done necessarily. It depends on what we're hearing from the public, it depends on how ready the application is, depends on a number of different things. So we will make sure, I'm telling you again, we will make sure that the public is aware of when the hearing is and when it's going to be. So, understood? Okay. That's it for us on 95 Bradhurst. We're looking forward to hearing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, next up, 145 Pythian Avenue. This is a new application, so this is brand new, spanking new, right off the printing presses. And we have our friend coming up, Ms. Demosky. 145 Pythian Avenue, legalization of an existing accessory apartment and walkout basement, applications accessory apartment AA 225-01, location 145 Pythian Avenue, Hawthorne, New York. Section block lot numbers 111.20-1-21, zone R40, owner Donna Carpentieri. Welcome tonight. And just grab that mic and you know the skill and drill.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess it was something I said.
Yeah,
Everybody
you're the
left
last
me.
one here.
So good evening, board members, chairman. My name is Paulette Domofsky. I am the architect with Domofsky Architecture. I'm representing the owner, who is Donna Carpentieri. She's also, this is also her primary residence. We're here seeking a approval for an accessory apartment, which is in the basement, as well as a waiver of 94 square feet in the size of the apartment. So the apartment is 694 square feet. The maximum allowable is 600. So just to go over the house itself, it's 145 Pythian in Hawthorne. It's a very residential neighborhood. This is an R20 district. The house style is a split level. So the bottom level is the garage and the apartment, and then the main level is the upper two floors. The main entrance to the principal apartment, the principal house, is in the front. There's also a man door that goes into the garage or into a mudroom, and for the main house. And then the entrance to the apartment is in the back. So if you look at the floor plan, this is the lower level. The hatched area is the main house, and the back area that's not hatched is the apartment. So the entrance that you see, that man door that's over here next to the garages, goes into a mudroom and a laundry room, and then there's a split level. You can go up to the main house, or you can go downstairs into the owner's storage area, mechanical room. There's also a closet, and then there's an entrance into the apartment. It's closed off from the tenant, so the tenant can't get back into the main house, but it's there for the owner should they need to go into the apartment in an emergency. So a little discussion about the apartment itself. As I said, the entrance is in the back. There's a living room, a kitchen, dining room, a bedroom, and a bathroom. One of the things that we're in the process of doing right now is seeking a New York State variance for a height. So there's a beam and ductwork that come across the bedroom, as well as there's one that's over by the bathroom. So we're seeking a 3-inch variance in height. It's supposed to be 6'4". We've already met with Neil Collier from the Department of State. He's approved it preliminarily, and we have sent it to the Albany. In our experience, whenever we get an approval from Neil, it usually means that we're probably going to get the approval for that. So all the other requirements for this accessory apartment we meet, particularly the parking, which is always a concern. 2 spots for each, for the main dwelling and for the apartment. We have 4 plus 2 in the garage, so we exceed that. Also appearance. This is a residential area, so it really, the apartment is concealed in the back. You don't really see it from the street. Currently, the owner's daughter is living there, and I know that that could change at any time. But the apartment really warrants itself for more family living there, because in the back, there's a pool, a covered patio, and that area is really shared. So whoever's in that apartment is going to be exposed to the family, and, you know, it's not so private. So just wanted to add that into it. So we are seeking a variance for that, not a variance, a waiver, I guess it is, for the 94 square feet. There was one other thing that we thought was non-compliant, and that was the story which I believe that that has been resolved, right? Okay. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I read Pat's comments, and Pat, I didn't realize, and I guess I've learned something. The state gets involved with these height things then?
Not for us, so like any residence, there's a height requirement for stories. And we've seen this before in basements, there's often columns and ductwork and so forth, not uncommon. And the area, by the way, is 6'1", so it's not as though it's a 4-foot crawl space. So I think, as Paul had indicated, when they get the preliminary response that it's likely going to be granted, it's likely going to be granted. But it's a variance from the state building code. That's what they're seeking.
Yeah, no, I understand. It was my memory problem, but I don't remember this being an issue before, so it's interesting. All right, any questions or comments from board members?
And by the way, that comes about when the requirement for an accessory apartment. Our building inspector goes out, inspects the space prior to it getting on your agenda. So he identified that building code deficiency, the applicant addressed it.
Okay.
But it's my understanding that 6'1", it's not the whole, it's just where the.
No, it's just where the beam is and the bottom of the duct. And the state requires us to paint that a different color so that in the event of an emergency, it's visible. So you won't hit your head, you won't run into it. So we have to demarc that in a different color, which we will do.
What's the ceiling height in the rest of it?
7'7". I'm sorry, 7'7" in the back area. There's a set of steps that goes up to the bedroom and the bathroom, and that ceiling height is 6'10". So it's 6'10", and then it just drops at that location.
Okay. So, any other questions, by the way, before we? Okay, I don't think we do, but I think we are in fairly good shape.
Yeah, this is in quite good shape.
So I don't think we need to belabor the conversation too much as we'd like to see you.
It's just the 94 feet.
Yeah, that is something, but I did see Pat's comments, and I don't think it's unusual.
No, I
Nor
don't.
would it benefit anything, so all the space, so we have had apartments cut them back to meet the requirement when there was some logic to it. In this case, you'd just be adding 3 feet to the storage space or the mechanical room next to the apartment, so it really doesn't make any sense to do it.
Right. So, and it's been an apartment in the house for a long time. We just go through the process of legalizing it.
Correct.
Okay. I won't double click into that. But okay.
So now.
All right. So now we need to make a decision. Is this ready for public hearing? It sounds like it is.
I make the motion to public hearing.
Okay. We have a motion from John.
Second.
We have a second from Jane. Walter.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Jane.
Aye.
And Jim. Aye. Okay. We're good to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Paul.
All right. It's been a long week already.
No, trust me. Yep. You want to see if I can do it? Let me see if I can do this.
Training the newbie.